Villagers, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The president of South Sudan had an interview on Al Jazeera. He said a lot about what is happening in the country, what he has been able to do and what he's still doing to bring peace. According to him, whatever that is happening in South Sudan isn't based on any tribal thing. When he was asked about their oil, he needs to take control over the oil in South Sudan so that he will bring a change in South Sudan. The people must be able to manage their own affairs, and this is not for it to end up in the pockets of other people. He said they are after him, trying to overthrow him simply because of how he's fighting these people so that the state resources wouldn't end up in their pockets. Corruption is not only in Africa. Corruption is in the United States, in the United Kingdom, even in the developed countries, there is corruption. So if they are looking for power to control the resources that they have in their country, it's not because they want to share it. And we don't have to let it look as if it's only Africa that there is corruption. When they finish looting us, it ends up where they always sit to point fingers at the leaders in Africa. They talked about independence. And he said, we are ready for our own independence. They quoted somebody and the person was saying, we are not ready for independence to govern ourselves. And he said, we the people in South Sudan are ready for our own independence.
It's about tribal loyalties, isn't it?
It is not. It is not. I swear it is not. If you go to Dinka lands now, you will find the Nuer residing there. And they ran away from their land, the Nuer land. They ran away because they were threatened by their own people, the Nuer. And
so you don't think this...
And they took refuge in the... Go to my state, where I come from.
You don't think this goes back to the enmities, going back to the Civil War?
No. It is Riek who is actually tribalizing it, because he mobilized what he called a white army, which he did 1991. He always mobilizes his tribe, and he calls them, these are civilians, he calls them white army.
Let's move on to your relations with Sudan. What do you think about the possibility of the Sudanese president, Omar Bashir, running for a fourth time?
That is not my question. Bashir is the president of Sudan. I'm not his deputy any longer.
We talked to Ali Khati, Sudan's foreign minister, just a few weeks ago. And he said that what united you, Salva Kiir, and Riek Machar, the rebel leader, was the fight against Bashir. And he said, I quote, we knew they were not ready for independence. This is just a few weeks ago. And he was right, wasn't he, given what's happened?
He was not right. He was not right. If he was right, then how did South Sudanese convince themselves to vote overwhelmingly?
But given what's happened in the country, the conflict that has ensued since independence...
Conflicts are everywhere. Take Central African Republic. When did they attain their independence?
So you think it's all part of the birthing process of a new country?
What happened in other countries like in West Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all these countries?
So this conflict, 10,000 dead, 1.8 million displaced, is just inevitable, part of the process of becoming a new country?
No. We never expected actually any problem in South Sudan.
So what happened?
This was something created by the people who were hungry for power, and they wanted power now. Instead of waiting to follow the process of the constitution, they just jumped into it overnight, and this is the result of it.
Of course, your oil, as you said, flows into Sudan. You've been waiting for years for independence to harness the oil profits to develop your country. You get 98%, I think it is, of government revenue from oil sales. The potential is huge, too, but isn't it that very potential that drives corruption and rivalries right up the chain of command? It's been a real problem for you, isn't it?
That, of course, is in every country. Corruption is not only had in South Sudan.
But we're talking right now about South Sudan.
Even in America, in UK, in all these developed countries, corruption is there.
But that doesn't make it right here.
Well, they can talk by themselves. Here in South Sudan, as a new nation, yes, there can be people, because people fought for over 20 years. But South Sudanese have been in struggle for more than 50 years. There are people who might have sharpened their appetites that now if we have become independent, they must grab something very quickly so that they enrich themselves. Yes, temptations for corruption are so many.
But millions and millions and millions of dollars have been lost. So what are you going to do to stop that flow of money going into people's pockets when it should be going to the people for roads, for hospitals, for schools?
The problem is now how to stop war first. I'm actually not condoning what is called corruption. And even these people who staged the coup, they staged the coup because they knew I was actually hunting them for corruption charges. But to stop that thing, they have to make a coup so that they can defend themselves with the power. Corruption is not a friend to anybody. It's the worst enemy, and we call it cancer.
A key aspect of the current conflict has been sexual violence, including rape and gang rape, forced marriage and sexual slavery. What efforts is the government making to deal with the fallout and the bitterness that this engenders?
Why don't we separate the issues? If it is rape, it was not there as when individuals happen to rape in certain sectors, they are punished. But if there is any rampant rape now, it is with the group of Riek Machar.
Well, according to the UN Special Envoy of Sexual Violence, Zainab Bagora, she says that levels of rape and sexual violence in South Sudan are at the worst she's ever seen, and she says both sides are to be blamed. These crimes, she says, have been committed by all parties to the conflict. All parties to the conflict.
No, I don't agree with. I told her here when she came, and I told her that you better be fair. Tell the truth in front of God, even if you cannot tell the truth in front of anybody.
But why would she lie? Why would she lie?
Huh?
Why would she lie?
She would be lying when she says both parties are to blame.
But why would she make that statement if she didn't think it was true?
I don't know. When you want to be biased, even now when you are asking me questions, you can go and turn them the way I have not said them.
I'm curious to know what made you the man you are, Mr. President. Can we hear something of your childhood? What forged you to lead you to this point in time?
Well, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you the whole. It is very long story. And so, as I told you, that people of South Sudan suffered for long. We went through difficult, very rough roads.
Why do we have to sit here for people to move out of wherever they come from, come into the continent to tell us that we are not ready to govern ourselves, and they are here to make sure that they govern us, take control over the resources that we have, because the leaders that we have can do it. And we see that at the end of the day, what is supposed to be meant for the black person ends up in their hands. And when they finish, they do not talk about how they always come into the continent to loot the people in Africa. It's high time we have to understand that these people look down upon us because they have kept people in positions. They run the affairs of the country on their behalf. That is the reason to which these people still dictate to us, tell us what to do, what and what we are not supposed to do. And we sit here, listen to them, because we have people who love parties so much. They sit down and point fingers at Africans that we are corrupt. But the system that they left for us, that system is corruption in disguise. Because it is that system they are using to loot the African. And that is the reason to which they are making sure that any leader that leaves that system comes back. Why would you think that the African cannot govern himself when you are the ones who always choose the leaders that should lead us and not the people we think have the ability to lead the people? Everything of ours is tribalism, because these people always preach that they are united. They don't have anything called tribalism. But the World War II we know was based on tribal conflict in Europe. Rape is not only happening in Africa. This thing is everywhere. Rape cases are not only in Africa. We have them even in the developed countries. But these people cover theirs up. And these are some of the things that they show to the world, pretending that Africa isn't a safe place, or certain parts of Africa isn't a safe place that people need to visit. They always play the angels who are here to help us or set us free. But we know that these people do not have us at heart. And that is the reason to which they are always fighting the leaders who rise up to fight for the freedom of Africa. These leaders will always sit on TV to tell us the opposite. But these are the things that we hear, and we believe in these people. All of them under that system belong to the same master. None of them is under that system that is different from the other. As long as Yellow Pawpaw isn't after them, that should tell us that they are serving his interests. We are the ones that can set the continent free, the youth. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, and in South Sudan.